I grew up being fascinated by women with high morals, high values, standards, and principles. And I always wonder, how could a woman be so perfect? And by perfect, I meant a woman who is so successful, yet kind and passionate and put together, intellectual, intuitive, and somehow always seems to have a whole life under control all at once. That actually seemed like an impossible task because I was always surrounded by women who were abundant in one area of their life only to be lacking in another area of their life. Like I would see a woman that is so successful, but then she would have a horrible personality or be a terrible cook. Or I would even see a woman that has an amazing partner and a beautiful family, but then her career suffered. And I always wondered what made one woman different from the other. At the time when these thoughts were going on in my head, I was far from being a woman of value. Like, what am I saying? I was just a kid. But as of then, I was so clumsy, I lacked confidence, and I was constantly people pleasing. As a matter of fact, I would step out of my house with oil stains on my shirt. In short, I can tell you that I was an absolute mess. And rebranding myself to become a woman of value just seemed like an ultimate mission impossible. So, where would I begin? But then I wondered, what exactly does it mean to be a high valued woman? Or is being a high valued woman just a myth? Something we hoped for but was far beyond our grasp. Something we would only see in movies and read in books, but would never get to experience it. Now, if these thoughts are actually going on in your head as you're watching this video, then I've got to say, do not be afraid. Because in this video, I'm about to share with you the 5 secrets that high value women know that no one is telling you about. Hey guys, my name is Azurma and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I release weekly videos on how to become the best version of yourself. Now, if that's your thing, please hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. Secret number one that high value women know that you need to know too is that they understand the power of exclusivity and they use that to their advantage. A high value woman knows that her time and her presence is precious. So she's not out here trying to give you her time and her presence for free. Now, what do I mean by that? A high value woman is very selective, not just of the friends or the people she entertains in her life, in her relationship, her career. She's very selective of what she does with her time and where she decides to present herself at every given time. So you'd never find a high value woman out there trying to date everyone or be friends with everyone or try to be at every event. No. She also understands that the way she carries herself is also the way people will treat her too. So she goes ahead to set really high standards. And when it comes to setting high standards, there is a twist here because there is always a fine line between standards and entitlement. And most times we mistake entitlement for standards in the sense that entitlement looks like, oh, if you're going to take me out on a date, you have to take me to a 5-star restaurant. If I'm going to be your girlfriend, you have to pay me allowance. That is entitlement. But standards look like, oh, I need to get a job because I need to advance my career. Oh, I need to get a job because I need to be able to provide for myself abundantly without having to wait for a man to pay my bills. That's what standard looks like. So all I'm trying to say is, as much as you set standards in your life, you set standards on how people show up for you in your own life. I want you to set standards on how you show up for yourself. Because the truth is, we get pissed, we get angry when people show up in our life not acting accordingly or not meeting up to our standards and expectations. We get pissed. Like, for instance, you go to a restaurant and they bring out your food in a really messy way, you get pissed. You're at a restaurant and someone spills drinks on you, you get pissed. But then you told yourself you were going to wake up 1 hour earlier than you usually do to read a book, but then you don't. And you don't get pissed at yourself for not showing up for yourself. See, people could do you dirty in life, but the worst kind of dirty that could happen to you is when you do yourself dirty. So start setting standards, and not just for how people show up in your life. Yes, you're going to penalize people, you're going to set standards on how people treat you. And if they don't meet up to your standards, It's completely okay if you choose to walk away from that. It's completely okay to walk away from that. But you need to also set that same level of standards for yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to wake up early, do it. If you tell yourself you're going to hit the gym, do it. Because all these things, all those little efforts you put into yourself builds you up. All those little efforts you put into yourself is what makes you the best version of yourself. Okay, so stop being entitled and actually set standards for yourself. And you also need to understand that exclusivity is what's going to preserve and sustain your energy. And a high value woman knows this, because if you're out there trying to be friends with everybody, trying to date everybody, you're going to end up meeting people that drain you instead of people that pour into you. So a high value woman knows this. That's why she's absolutely selective of the people she shares her time and her presence with, because she's not trying to be with people that will suck her dry of the abundance she's trying to pour into herself. Always remember that. Secret number two that high value women know that no one is telling you about is the fact that they've mastered the art of detachment. Now, when it comes to detachment, there is always a fine line between care and obsession. That's something I recently came to realize. And if you're not careful, it's pretty easy for you to switch from care to obsession. Now, basically, care would look like, for instance, you call your partner and they do not pick up. Then in your mind, you're like, oh, maybe he's taking a shower, or maybe he's at a meeting, and once he sees my missed call, he's going to return it. That's care. That's detachment. But now obsession would look like something like this. You call your partner and they do not pick. And then instantly in your mind, you go like, oh, maybe he's with another girl. Or maybe you would be like, oh, maybe it's because of what I said last night. That's why he's not picking my call. Maybe he's still pissed. Maybe he's getting bored of this relationship. 1,000 and 1,000,000 thoughts start running wild in your head. That's obsession. But girl, I just want to say, what's the point? Like, even if there are situations when those thoughts actually become reality, maybe this person is giving you the hot and cold treatment and you keep second guessing their intentions for you. I'm not saying that there are situations where your thoughts are untrue, but I'm trying to say that no matter how much you obsess over these people, no matter how much you let them live rent free in your head, it's not going to change the fact that what's going to happen will happen. I want you to always have the mindset that the universe is constantly conspiring in your favor. As a matter of fact, this is the core mindset of a high value woman, because she knows that no matter what happens in her life, she would always be good. You need to have that level of detached mindset. And I've come to realize that there are two major ways for you to actually stay detached from any situation or experience you have. And the first one is by decentering yourself. Now, this is really important because a high value woman understands that as much as she is the main character of her story, that the world truly doesn't revolve around her. Now, what do I mean by this? Usually, we always think, especially when you have the nice girl mentality, you always think that everything that happen is happening because of you. Like, for instance, I walk into a bank and the cashier is really rude and demeaning. I then think, oh, she's being rude because she saw my account balance that actually looks like it's struggling to breathe. So that's why she's being rude to me. But what if just a few minutes before you walked into their bank, she actually received a phone call telling her that someone she truly cares about just died or is terribly ill, and see you there sitting down staring at her, thinking that her bad, rude, demeaning personality was all because of you. Or maybe she just has a bad personality. That's completely okay, but it literally has nothing to do with you. So, as a high value woman, you need to learn how to decenter yourself from every situation, because truly, it's not always about you. The thing is that people always respond respond and react to situations and experiences based on their own personal inner programming. Someone is being rude to you because of whatever is going on in their head, in their mind, in their life, and it basically doesn't always have to be about you. It basically always isn't about you. So always have that in mind when you're dealing with people, when you're experiencing certain things in your life. And the second tip that I've found to be really helpful when it comes to detachment is you need to learn how to redefine your experiences. Let's say, for instance, you have, let's say, a friend or someone you really do care about, and find out that they did something that goes against your best interest. Maybe they said something really nasty at your back, or they did something that double crushed your authority, your power. You feel betrayed somewhat by this person's actions or character. Now, this is a situation where you have two choices. You could decide, oh, this person did me dirty. I cannot trust anybody again. I cannot be friends with anybody again. Or you could decide to redefine their experience. And one good way to do that is by telling yourself, okay, this person did this to me. Now, what can I take out from this situation? First of all, I would never do such a thing to this person. So this only proves that I'm a good person. I'm the kind of person that would never betray my friends. I'm the kind of person, when I was friends with this person, I took care of them when they were ill. I took care of them when they were heartbroken. I took care of them when they had no one to talk to. I supported them. I encouraged them to start a business. Now this gives you an idea. It gives you like some form of proof of who you are as a person. You learn something new about yourself. Now okay, I'm the kind of person that if I'm your friend, I'm going to show up 100 in that friendship. If I'm your friend, you can trust me with your secrets. You can trust me when you're down. You can trust me when you're alone and lonely. I will have your back. So now okay, this is who I am as a person. You've learned something valuable about yourself. And most importantly, you can learn from that experience. You can tell yourself, okay, this is what they did. Next time in the future, I'm going to avoid people that possess this kind of characteristics. So now you've redefined this experience by changing your perspective of what this experience is and turning it into a positive experience, by telling yourself, okay, I've learned this about myself. Now I can improve myself. I can learn from this single experience. And that is a really amazing thing. So when things happen to you, when you're experiencing certain things and things don't necessarily go the way you expect them to go, just go ahead and decenter yourself and also redefine that experience, because by redefining that experience you gain a fresh perspective. That way it makes it easier for you to let go, move on, and heal from that single experience. Secret number 3 that high value women know that no one is telling you about is that she knows herself. Now, this is really important because we live in a world where people are constantly projecting their traumas, their fears, their insecurities to just anybody they come across. Now, a high value woman knows herself deeply. And when I'm talking about knowing yourself, we usually make the mistake of only acknowledging our positive qualities and characteristics. I'm a good person, I'm a kind person, I am patient. But do you know your shadow self? Now, what exactly is your shadow self? Your shadow self is that personality of yours that lurks in the shadows. Okay, let me explain it better. As a human being, we all have two sides. Everybody, without exception. We all have a positive side and we have a negative side. And the thing is, usually we accept this positive side because it's all rosy and beautiful and glamorous. But then we avoid this negative side. Like, let's say, for instance, you meet a girl with a nice girl mentality, but then deep down in her subconsciousness, she actually desires power. She actually desires control. She actually is ambitious. But because this nice girl mentality is the one that is most acceptable to her and to the society, she only displays this positive aspect of her. So she hides this shadow self. She hides this negative part because she's scared that if she reveals this negative aspects of her, she will not be accepted in society. Now, you need to understand that avoidance of your shadow self, ignoring it, repelling it, actually gives it power. That's why you often hear people say things like money changes people. In truth, money doesn't change people. Money reveals more of a person's personality. Because when you have money, you then feel like you've attained some level of power and control. So it's actually easier for you to let go of yourself and accept your shadow self, right? And there is nothing wrong with your shadow self, because the truth is that if you avoid it, it gains power. Then you see people lose control, and then you're like, oh, I've always known that that her nice girl characteristics was just a facade, it was just a mask. This is who she actually is. As a matter of fact, they are both who she actually is. She is both a nice girl and an ambitious person. Awareness of your shadow self gives you control, because then you can channel that shadow into a much more positive way. Like, let's say, for instance, you have this nice girl mentality, but deep down in your subconsciousness, you're ambitious. Now, you can channel that energy into your career to help you attain greater heights in your career. But if you keep avoiding it, maybe one day your shadow self would actually become much more dominating. It would dominate the most part of your personality, and then you'd be wondering, oh, I acted way out of character. Oh, where did this come from? It came from inside you. It's part of who you are. So do not be scared of your shadow self. And sometimes what we see there in our shadow self can be really scary. You might see someone that is way too ambitious. You might see someone that has anger issues. You might see a personality that you're not very familiar with. But don't ignore it. Accept it. Be aware of it. Figure out what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Your strength is the fact that you are empathetic, you're nice, you're kind. Improve that. Become better at being empathetic and nice and kind to people. But maybe there in the shadow lurks someone that desires power. Maybe there in the shadow lurks someone that is assertive, that has the ability to say what she feels when she feels without feeling bad or feeling guilty about it. Then you can actually use that to your advantage. Work on that weakness. Stop being the kind of person that has anger issues and just lashes out when she feels like it. Rather, learn about emotional intelligence and how to channel that shadow in a much more positive way. Secret number 4 that high value women know that no one is telling you about is the fact that a high value woman has a full life. Now, when it comes to having a full life, I've got to put this out there. Girl, you're just too lazy. Because the greatest illusion of our time is the fact that we constantly think that we do not have enough time to do the things we said we are going to do. And I've got to put this out there. There is an abundance of time. And the only way you can be abundant with your time is through structure. And trust me, this is coming from someone that dreads structure. I'm the kind of girl that I do not like structure. I do not like routines. I like doing things at my own time, when I want to do it and how I want to do it. But I've got to tell you from my personal experience that that will only get you so far. It's not going to get you to your destination. Okay. I recently had the experience of where I started going to the library. Like, I just started going to the library every day because I want to be more productive. Because I've come to realize that by being home, I'm very much accessible for errands. I'm very much accessible to my bed, which makes me very accessible to sleep more throughout the day and be less productive. So I decided to start going to the library. And for me, I hate structure, I hate routines. That's just one part of my personality I came to realize from growing up till this very day. Okay. So then what actually happens is that I get to the library and they tell me, oh, we have a dress code. And by the way, I am not looking slutty or anything like that. But they just tell me they have a dress code and I cannot wear something like this to the library. And then in my little head, for 1 second, for someone that doesn't like structure, what goes on in my head is, oh, are you sure I will not stop coming to this library because I cannot deal with a dress code? And then I look around and everybody's wearing like long sleeves. And by the way, the library is so hot. Like, they have fans, but somehow it's not just cool enough and it's not just airy enough. And I'm thinking, are you sure I will not just stop coming here because I cannot deal with wearing a long sleeve or looking a type of way just so that I can come here to read and work and be more productive? But I've got to tell you this, your Careless, lazy routines can only get you so far. If I decide that I do not get to go to the library, I'm going to have to stay at my house. And like I said, I'm very accessible for errands and I'm very accessible to my bed. And that way I am less productive. So I have to make a choice. It's either structure or procrastination. It's either structure or complacency. And trust me, I had to choose the best one for my future, which is structure. So if I am required to just a certain way to get to the library, then I'll do that as long as I get what I'm looking for. Now back to it all. Like I said, a high value woman has a full life. And for you to actually have a full life, you need to have an abundance of time. And for you to have an abundance of time, you need to design structure. And trust me, structure is boring. Discipline is boring, but nothing substantial comes from living a complacent life. So you need to be willing to be structured. Let's say, for instance, for every single day you come back from work, you just spend the rest of your hours mindlessly scrolling. And as such, you do not pay attention to what you eat. You don't have enough time to learn a new skill. You don't have enough time to take up a new hobby. It's because you've not implemented structure. So find out where you're lacking in your life and start implementing structures there. You decide, okay, I want to learn a new skill, and the only time I have is after work. When I get home, that's the only time I have to learn a new skill. Now implement structure, put it in your plan, in your routine, your to-do list, that the moment you come home you have 30 minutes, 1 hour to rest, mindlessly scroll or do whatever you want to do, and you're going to use 3 hours to learn a new skill. You're going to use 3 hours to get a hobby. You're going to use 3 hours to write that book. You're going to use 1 hour to perform that exercise. You're going to use 1 hour to practice mindfulness. It all comes down to your structures and your routines. So if you want to have a full life, you might sit there and say, oh, I do not have enough time to read a book. Implement structure. Oh, I do not have enough time to start a side hustle. Implement structure. A high value woman has a full life, and that's why she's not just everywhere and everywhere, because her time is valuable, her time is precious. She knows how important time is your hard-earned currency, because you can always get back anything you lose in life. You lose a friend, you can make a new friend, a better friend for that matter. Lose a boyfriend, you can get a better one, a cuter, hotter one too. You lose a job, you can get an even better career. But if you lose time, you're not getting it back. So get serious with your life, implement structure, have a full life. Get busy and be intentional about what you do with your time and your life. The fifth and final secret the high value women know that no one is talking about, and you need to know that too, is the fact that she continuously invests in herself. Now, when it comes to investing in yourself, you need to understand that wherever you stop learning, you're going to stop growing. Personal growth and development is a continuous process. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a destination. You cannot tell yourself, oh, when I get that promotion, then I will become a high value woman. No, that's where your growth stop, and as such, that's where your value ends. You limit yourself by limiting your growth. So if you want to be a continuous high value woman, you want to constantly be a high value woman, you do not fade in your value, then you need to actively seek growth. Seek growth in your appearance, by intentionally taking care of your appearance. She constantly looks like the bomb, and like I said in the beginning, I was constantly marveled at the fact that high value women always seem to have their life together. Like, how can you be so busy and successful and still be able to cook healthy meals for your family and still be able to look drop dead gorgeous? How can you be able to handle all these things? It's true structure, and one good way for you to always look good and take care of your appearance is through structure. If you have a really busy schedule and you cannot always plan out your outfit, pick out one day in the week, probably in the weekends, and pick out your entire outfit for the week. That way you're organized. It makes you more organized. You don't wake up in the morning wanting health schedule like a crazy woman trying to figure out what to wear. No, you already planned that out in the weekend, and now you can gracefully step into your new outfit and walk out the door looking as majestic and elegant as possible. Period. A high value woman understands that the way she carries herself, the way she shows up in the world, is exactly how people are going to address her. How you're dressed is how you're going to be addressed. So high value woman takes absolute care of her appearance. She takes care of her hair, her skin, her nails. She is intentional about how she shows up in the world daily. She's intentional about her mindset, her physical health, her finances. If you feel like your finances is struggling, be intentional about your finances. Try to strive for career growth so that you can get a better pay raise. Try to learn more about financial literacy. How can you grow your money? How can you manage your money? What should you invest in? Learn about the stock market. Learn about real estate, how to invest, how to save better, the best platforms to save, the safest platforms to save, stuff like this. She's intentional about her finances. She knows what to spend her money on and what not to spend her money on. Period. Okay, actively seek growth, because the more you learn, the more you're going to earn. And as a high value woman, I'm going to very much recommend that you pour into your mindset and your mentality, because it all starts up here. What you think is what you become. We don't get what we want in life, you get what you are. And what you are is in here, in your head. You're telling yourself, I want to be a high value woman, but you're not reading books about personal development. You're not listening to podcasts about motivation and personal development and mindset. Then how will you grow? You're only going to become what you want when you're first what you want. If you want to become a high value woman, your mindset has to be in that direction. Okay, you do not want to become a high value woman and then you're listening to quotes and podcasts from losers, from people that don't even know what it means to have emotional control, from people that don't even know what it means to be intentional with your finances. No, if you want to get somewhere, be intentional about surrounding yourself with people that are already where you want to get to. If you want to be a medical doctor, start seeking advice and listening to people that are already medical doctors. Don't be listening to market traders. If you want to be a YouTuber, start listening to YouTubers, okay? Because the only person that is going to tell you how to get to where you want to get to are the people that are already where you want to get to. So be intentional about surrounding yourself with people that have the capability to pour into you, people that have the capability that can help you become the best version of yourself. Okay, take care of your health. Listen to podcasts, meditate, pray, read your Bible, journal, things like this, and learn continuously, learn new skills. Things like this help you pour into yourself, and the more you pour into yourself, the more value you're going to have. And the moment you stop pouring into yourself, your value is just going to become stagnant, and it's just a matter of time before it starts depreciating. So be very intentional about actively seeking growth. So with that, we've come to the end of this video, and I really do hope you liked this video. And if you did, please let me know in the comment section so I can always create more content like this. And I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.